You keep trying to control everything, and it's slowly destroying you. Every thought you chase, every outcome you try to force, every opinion you try to manage. It feels like survival, but it isn't. It's a prison. And the worst part, you built it yourself. There's a silent weight you carry. It shows up when someone doesn't reply the way you expected, when life doesn't unfold the way you planned, when people misunderstand you, reject you, overlook you. And in those moments, your mind begins its ritual. Why did this happen? What did I do wrong? How do I fix it? How do I make them see me differently? You replay conversations that are already over. You rewrite scenarios that will never happen again. You try to bend reality just enough so it stops hurting. But it never works, because the pain was never in what happened. The pain was in your refusal to accept it. You were taught that control is power, that if you just think harder, plan better, push more, you can shape the world into something that feels safe. But look closely. Has it made you free, or has it made you anxious? Has it given you peace, or has it turned your mind into a battlefield that never rests? Because here's the truth most people avoid. The more you try to control what is not yours, the more you lose control of what is. There are two worlds you live in, the external and the internal. The external world is unpredictable. People change, situations shift, plans collapse. It does not ask for your permission. It does not care about your expectations. And yet, you keep trying to command it. You want people to act the way you want. You want life to follow your script. You want certainty in a place that was never designed to give it. And when it doesn't, you suffer. Not because life is cruel, but because you are resisting what already is. Now there's another world, the internal one, your thoughts, your judgments, your reactions. This is where your power lives. But instead of mastering it, you abandon it. You let your peace depend on things outside your reach. You let your emotions be dictated by outcomes you cannot guarantee. And slowly, without realizing it, you trade your freedom for illusion. Imagine holding a rope in your hands. On the other end is everything you can't control. People's opinions, past events, future outcomes. Then you pull harder and harder and harder, hoping that if you just try enough, the world will finally give in. But it doesn't. It pulls back, and the tension grows. Your mind tightens. Your chest feels heavy. Your thoughts become louder, until one simple question appears. What if the pain isn't coming from the rope, but from your refusal to let go? This is the moment everything changes. Not when life becomes easier, not when people finally understand you, not when everything goes your way, but when you stop demanding that it should. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, because it requires you to face reality without distortion, without denial, without the desperate need to change it. It asks you to look at what is and say, this exists. Not because you like it, not because you agree with it, but because fighting it is costing you your peace. Think about it. How much energy have you wasted trying to control things that were never yours? The past, already gone. The future, not yet here. Other people, living in their own minds, their own worlds, their own struggles. And yet, you carry all of it, as if it belongs to you, as if your mind was meant to hold the weight of the entire world. It wasn't. Freedom begins with a single realization. You don't have to control everything to be okay. You don't have to fix every situation. To find peace, you don't have to be understood. To have value, and you don't have to win every battle. To be free. But here's where it gets difficult, because your mind will resist this. It will say, if I stop controlling things, everything will fall apart. If I accept this, I'm giving up. If I let go, I'll lose. But ask yourself this, what have you truly gained by holding on so tightly? More clarity, or more confusion, more peace, or more tension? Because sometimes what feels like control is just fear in disguise. Acceptance is not surrendering to life. It is aligning with it. It is understanding that reality does not need your approval to exist, and your suffering comes from insisting that it should be different. There is a quiet power in saying, this is out of my control, not as a defeat, but as a release from the endless loop of overthinking, from the exhausting need to fix everything, from the illusion that your peace depends on external outcomes. And in that release, something extraordinary happens. Your mind becomes still, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer at war with reality. You begin to see things differently. Rejection is no longer a reflection of your worth. It is simply an event. Failure is no longer a personal attack. It is simply a moment. Uncertainty is no longer a threat. It is simply the nature of life. And suddenly, you are no longer trapped inside every situation. You are observing it, understanding it, moving through it, without being consumed by it. This is the freedom most people never experience because they are too busy trying to control what was never theirs. They spend their entire lives pulling on that rope, not realizing they could have let go at any moment. But letting go feels terrifying because it forces you to confront a truth you've been avoiding. You were never in control, not of outcomes, not of other people, not of how life unfolds. And once you see this, you have two choices: resist it and continue suffering, or accept it and become free. The moment you accept this, everything changes. You stop chasing validation from people who cannot give it. You stop trying to rewrite the past. You stop fearing a future that hasn't arrived. You return to the only place where life actually happens. Now, and in this moment, you realize something profound. Peace was never something you had to find. It was something you were blocking with resistance, with control, with the belief that life had to be different for you to feel okay. But life doesn't need to change for you to be at peace. You do. There is a quiet confidence that comes with acceptance. A calm that cannot be shaken by external chaos, because you are no longer attached to how things should be. You are grounded in how they are, and from this place, you act more clearly, you think more rationally, you respond instead of reacting, because your mind is no longer clouded by the need to control everything. This is what true power looks like. Not forcing the world to bend to your will, but mastering your response to it. Ask yourself, what are you still trying to control? A person, an outcome, a version of the past that no longer exists? And what is it costing you? Your peace, your clarity, your energy. Now imagine, just for a moment, you let it go. Not forever, just for now. You release the need to control it. You accept it as it is, and you bring your focus back to what you can actually influence: your thoughts, your actions, your perspective. Notice what happens. The tension softens, the noise quiets, the weight begins to lift. This is not coincidence. This is alignment, because when you stop fighting reality, you stop fighting yourself. And in that stillness, you find something you've been searching for all along. Freedom, not the kind that comes from perfect circumstances, but the kind that exists regardless of them. So the next time life doesn't go your way, pause. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "Can I accept this as it is?" Not because it's easy, but because it sets you free. You don't need to control everything. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to understand everything. You only need to accept what is and take responsibility for what is yours. Everything else, let it go, because the moment you accept what you cannot control is the moment you finally gain control of yourself. And that is where true freedom begins.